Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So, for some odd reason, there's a lot of dispute, or at least a little bit of confusion behind. Some people seem to think that North African Berbers are indigenous to North Africa, meaning they've always looked that way and always have been there. And I'm just basically going to debunk this because that's completely false. For one thing, North African Berbers are they're a mixed group. They don't all look alike. They are not all ethnically the exact same race. They don't all exactly have all of them don't have the same biological makeup because there's so much admixture amongst North Africans that it's impossible to. So they're a very diverse group. So to say that they're indigenous there, I mean, well, they've been there mixed. They've been that diverse group of, they've been that huge diverse group of people there for a very, very long time. So yes, they are Africans. But if you want to go back far enough, then yes, they are mixed. They are mutts. I'm sorry, North Africans are mongrels. They are mutts. They are heavily mixed. Just like the Egyptians, North Africans are about the most biologically mixed group of people that you can find. But let's hear it out of their mouths. Don't take my word for granted. Let's hear it.
Say that Berbers, yeah,
But he's a Berber.
are invaders. So what's the point? What's
So
the
you're saying
point?
he's
What's the point?
an invader and he's
What's
a
the
Berber,
point?
then
Yeah.
Berbers are
Now,
invaders.
I've
We are invaders,
Right?
North Africa.
You're Algerian.
Yes.
Okay. Where'd you
No,
get this from?
Algerian.
Where'd you get
This Algerian man corrects some other guy by saying, yes, we Algerians, we are invaders, meaning they are not original to Algeria.
this from?
This one Algerian.
Knowledge, because the true Berbers are really
Finish
dark.
matter.
No, the true,
The true Berbers are really dark, unlike modern Berbers or Algerians today.
the true Berbers are really, really black. And
I
they are-
stop.
Now, this isn't an Algerian man telling you this.
Repeat what you just said.
What?
Oh, no. Let the gentleman speak. Pull up, rewind, and come again. What did you just say?
Where are you from?
What did you just say?
Algeria.
What did you say? What was just go back one
Black.
sentence and say that again.
But Berbers are black.
The original Berbers, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Which is
The original Berbers are black and or dark skinned people, rather, what you would say. We all know this. Modern day Berbers or North Africans, they only have the look that they have because of the original, I guess, dark skinned or tropical African Berbers that were there. They mixed with the Europeans to the north and the Afro Asians from the east, all came there into that melting pot of the Mediterranean and North Africa and mixed into what you have of the modern day North African and Mediterranean people today. These are all mixed people.
No. Hold on. That is the statement I made.
I believe because the Romans, when they came to North Africa, they called us Mauritania, Moro, dark
And more
skin,
means
very dark skin.
right.
We were black, but not even black people are different.
Yeah,
in terms of
we accept that.
Yeah.
We accept
But
that.
they're black.
Okay,
They
so
don't
where is
fool you.
Uncle? Where's all the evidence for this? Where is all the
Okay,
evidence
let's
for this?
drop
To read
it.
about
You
Let's
can
not
make
evidence.
claims. You
Let's
can
not-
make claims,
let's
but
not
where's the
evidence.
evidence?
Let's not
A
evidence.
million of white, 1.5 million of white slaves in North Africa.
Yeah, we spoke
We
about this
enslaved.
last week.
Yeah.
North Africans, the Berber pirates, they took millions of European slaves. You don't think they mixed with these people? What happened to those millions of Europeans that they took their slaves? And this is not even mentioning all of the migrations and all the migrations of when Europeans came across the Mediterranean down in North Africa.
Yeah.
spoke about
There's
it.
lots of Algerians. They have Irish blood from the Spain, the
So
Muslims.
the West Africans. So
The-
the West Africans.
No,
All
no,
West
we were
Africans.
mixed.
No, not Irish.
No, how can you
A lot of-
explain?
Oh, no.
We have an Algerian
If
woman
you
like
if
you,
go
an Algerian woman like her.
Listen now, man.
Do they say it's a country? No.
hold on. Wait.
Mix.
Yeah,
The
no,
North bit.
I know, but that's
Most of us are from Jewish, European Jewish, from Middle East, from Spain, from most Algerians. Their DNA, the North bit.
I mean, this is obvious. This is true. This is obvious. You got to be a complete fool to look at modern day North Africans and think that they are not mixed and think that they're indigenous to that land, meaning they look like exactly how they are in some sort of racial purity form for thousands or millions of years. You got to be a complete idiot to believe that.
The South are really indigenous people of Africa.
Okay,
They're
so
black.
where is the evidence?
Sir, I appreciate your honesty.
Where's the evidence for this? Where's the evidence for
I'm not
this?
saying
Not,
I-
where
you-
is
you-
it?
you- you-
Where's
you-
the
evidence.
evidence?
because the reason why they don't understand. They don't under Algeria is a big country. The north is only 20% of the greenery in the north. Most of it is a desert.
Yes.
And most of the Algerian women used to be black. And the rape also, the French soldiers, they did a lot of rape in Algeria. A lot of Algerians, they've got
What are you
French.
talking about?
It's reality. We have to taboo. Not all of them, but some of them. The Ottoman. No, the Ottoman.
All right.
I'm
No,
not gonna talk.
Algerians are like you.
No, hold on. Hold on.
Like you.
Can I ask a question?
Algerians like you.
Can I ask a question?
True Algerians.
Can I ask a question?
No,
There is a tribe here. Hold on. Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
It's your reality.
Can I ask a question?
Your idea or your
Can I
DNA.
ask a question? Can I
Can we
ask
have
a
a
question?
convo without him butting in?
Now he's butting in, you know. A minute ago.
Because we want to have a proper discussion.
What, from what?
But you had a DNA test.
He's on topic. I can't stop him. He's on topic.
He's hijacked the convo.
Fam, I do
I'm not
agree with him. I do
hijacking
agree
it.
with him.
I'm older
I do
than
agree with
you.
him, but he's on topic. I can't deny the fact that he's on topic. When we're discussing indigenous
It's reality.
nations
We have
in North
black
Africa.
Algerians. We are the indigenous people
Exactly.
of
And you
Africa.
all are challenging me. One
You
second.
can't deny it. You
One
can't
second.
deny it.
One second, sir.
We don't like
One
black
second, sir.
people.
One
We
second.
don't like black people.
Say that again.
We don't like black people. When it comes to marriage, you will not marry a black woman
I don't mind.
As an Algerian.
as an Algerian. And they cover it with Islam.
The guy finished the conversation. I'm sorry. It done. Finish matter.
It's reality. I'll tell you something. Not all of them. No. Not Islam.
Listen,
No, not Islam. The
when he
Muslims.
finishes-
I am
when he
from the
finishes,
north.
Bro,
I
you
am
know in his
I
band
tell
people
you,
can't marry black people.
I
know
am. I
You
am
know
from the
that.
north.
Right.
I'm neither
You know
white.
that.
Okay.
That's not in Islam.
No, I hear you. I'm on Muslim then. I'm on Muslim.
Let me
You
finish.
know what happened?
It's not from Islam. The Muslims.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm whatever Mediterranean, olive skin, you call it, you name it. I experienced when I was very young. I experienced. I tell you, and it's all in Algeria mostly.
Yeah, you
I
speak for
brought
everyone.
Algerian
You
from the
spoke for
south,
everyone. You speak for
black,
He's our president.
black,
He's our
more
president.
darker than you, really darker than you, to my house, to my place.
That's
My
one
mum,
experience,
my
man.
mum,
That's
my
one
brother
experience.
said to
You
me,
can't get one
kick
experience
them
and
out.
realize it with
They have
Now you heard it from in that last video from the Algerian man saying, in which we all knew, that they are not indigenous, they are not the real or original Algerians or North Africans. We pretty much all knew that basically before North Africans began to mix with people from across the Mediterranean, from the Iberian Peninsula and from the other parts of Europe and then from the Levant, before they started to mix with these people, the indigenous people of North Africa were pretty much predominantly looked like people from basically around the southern part of North Africa, which would be like, let's say maybe a good example would be more like the Tuareg people. So the population of a lot of North Africans probably crossed from this area around the Levant and around the Arabian Peninsula through Egypt so long ago that their DNA kind of began to change and adapt to their climate a little bit differently from the people who originally stayed, which would explain the reason why they're more related closely to people in Arabia and the Levant. but they've been separated for thousands of years and have environmental adaptations that the DNA is a little slightly different, but very similar. Modern Berber language is it's an Afro-Asiatic language loosely related to Arabic, Hebrew, and Habesha tongues. So I want you all to pay close attention to this. This Mediterranean area is the biggest melting pot in all of human history. You have Africa right here, you have the Middle East right here, and Europe right here. All of these people have been mixing and intermingling since the beginning of time, which is why you always see people around the edges of the Mediterranean always look heavily mixed. They look like a combination of all three. But the further you go south of the Mediterranean, you'll start to see more darker people. The further east you go, over here in Arabia, you'll start to see more darker people. The further north you go in Europe, you'll start to see more white people. You see, people who live along the Mediterranean, they've been trading, intermingling, and mixing with each other. They only gonna stay around the coastal parts. They don't really have any reason to go too deep into the interior, which is why the further you go into the interior, you'll see more darker people in Africa and the Middle East. And the further into the interior of Europe you go, you'll start to see more whiter people because they weren't going this far into the interior to mix with those people. So the people further in the interior are more original and indigenous. This should be pretty obvious for anybody who has any sort of kindergarten like understanding of genetics and mixing. Now, let's first talk about around the Mediterranean. The Greek people are Mediterranean people. The Greek people are part of what you would consider the larger or the extended part of the white race. But according to Hitler and you know other Germanic people, people from Greece would not be considered pure because Greece they're so close to the Levant and South Africa, and they've been mixing with these people. A lot of people around this area in Greece, they have that sort of Afro-Asiatic or Levant pull to them. You know, that sort of Middle Eastern pull to them. That's why a lot of these people they have dark hair, dark eyes, because they've been mixing with these people for a long time. The more pure-blooded Germanic, or should I say the Nordic race, or that Hitler spoke about a lot. Now they're what you would call real white people or pure white people. Blonde hair, blue eyes, Hitler. This is what Hitler was speaking about. So they would be considered the Teutonic race. The Teutonic race, aka the Germanic Nordic people, that comes from Tyr, the Nordic god of war. Tyr, the Nordic god of war, in which Tuesday is named after. The second day of the week is named after Tyr, the god of war, from the Teutonic peoples. And I guess, this is why they're more related to or more known to be a military, organized, warlike people. Not to say that other races aren't the same, but I mean, that's what Tyr was all about. Is the god of war. So anytime you go closer east in the Mediterranean, you're gonna start to see that those people in Europe have more of a Middle Eastern Levant pull to them because they've been mixing. mixing with them. You know, people from Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain, all of these places. So these would be modern day Greek people who are also mixed people, but a lot of them have the sort of Middle Eastern Levant pull to their biology because they've been there mixing for so long. That's why, as you see, a lot of them have dark hair, dark eyes. So, North Africa has had, just like Egypt, has had countless, numerous invasions. European invasions from all over directions. You have the Phoenicians from the Levant. You have you have the Vandals from the Germanic race who came and invaded North Africa, settled there. They established colonies and kingdoms, you know, in the Iberian Peninsula in North Africa with over about 100,000 settlers and soldiers. A lot of people estimated the population to be between 2 or 3 million at the time of the collapse of the Roman Empire, basically making them all of the people in North Africa about at that particular time about 5% Germanic. And you have some people that say, oh, well, a lot of these people might have invaded, but they only came there with a few soldiers. And even if they did mix, that wouldn't change the biology. No, that is false. Most of these invasions, they came with thousands of settlers, and they mixed in with the native populations, making them even furthermore mixed. And that's not even to include the latest colonization from the Arab conquest. They came with 40,000 troops, and you know they were doing a lot of raping. You also can't forget about the Berber pirates who took millions and millions of European slaves. What do you think they did with those European slaves? They traded them, they brought them back, used them as concubines, interbred with them, and these are millions of Europeans, further diversifying the North African gene pool. You have Mansa Musa, came over from I think it was Mali, and he was trading a lot of slaves also. He came with slaves, and along his way to Egypt, or even before he even went to Egypt, he was distributing slaves across the Sahel. You know, I'm guessing he would get slaves from other parts of tropical Africa and trade them with his Muslim brothers in North Africa, you know, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt. So that's further diversifying the North Africa gene pool even more. You have the another invasion or colonization. You have the Italian people from the Italian peninsula. During Roman occupation, they also settled in North Africa and settled their own culture and language in North Africa, further diversifying the gene pool of North Africa. You got the ethnic Turks who migrated there in large numbers. You know, a lot of people say up to about 20% of most North Africans today have some Turkish ancestry. And you see the European gene pool, you see Europeans are not, there is no such thing, I wish people would get this out of their minds. There's no such thing as a pure blooded race. All modern day races today are combinations and mixtures from different migration patterns and mixtures from other different groups. There's no such thing as a pure race. Even the European race is a combination of three different peoples. You have the indigenous hunter-gatherer people, hunter-gatherers of Europe. You have the Neolithic Anatolian farmers. You have the steppe pastoral people. For instance, Morocco had a heavy colonization of the French. You know, French Montana. So, and one more thing, and about the Moors. The Moors were not an ethnic group. So when you say the Moors, you can't say the Moors were black. You can't say the Moors were Arab. You can't say the Moors were modern day North Africans. It's not. The Moors were not an ethnic group. It was just a it was just a term that certain people use to refer to people from um, Mauritania, or however you pronounce it, in the Morocco area. A lot of these people, the Moors were more so mixed. You had like some of them who had sort of sort of a mixture of the Levant people or Afro-Asiatic people mixed with some of the Iberian Peninsula people, mixed with some of the tropical African people to basically give you what you have in a lot of the southern parts of the North African area, like the Tuareg people. So the Moors were not one ethnic group, mixed race group of people. Some dark, some light. Some might look like French Montana, some might look like Arab, some might look like Mansa Musa. You also had a lot of Italians that settled in Morocco, up here in Algeria. Now, up here in Algeria, I want you to pay attention. Now, look, no, remember what I said. The people who live closer to the border of the Mediterranean are always going to look more mixed, while the people to the south are going to look a lot more dark. Now, the people to the furthest northern part of Algeria, you have the Kabylie. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but the Kabylie people of Algeria. Now, a lot of these people live in the furthest northern part of Algeria. If you think that these people aren't heavily mixed with European peoples across the Mediterranean, then you need help. It should be pretty obvious. Now, these are people in the furthest northern part of Algeria. Now, compare what they look like to the people furthest south in Algeria, who are very dark. And no, it's not because of the sunlight. There's genetic differences in hair, facial structure, and skin tone. It's not just about skin tone. Just because the sun is hotter in southern Algeria, that in no way explains the racial biological difference in those two peoples. Why? Because Algerians and all other North Africans are mixed races, are mixed groups of people. Here you have if you pronounce it, the Kaougli people of Libya. Now, a lot of these people have, not even just them, a lot of people all over North Africa, they have a whole lot of Turkish ancestry. And it's pretty obvious to see in them. Now, compare what those people look like to Tuaregs, who more so would be around the southern border of North Africa, around this region, who are very much so darker. Why are they darker? No, it's not because the sunlight is more ferocious just a few miles down. It's because the Europeans and the Middle Eastern people never cared to go this far into the interior to mix with these original inhabitants here. So most of these people, they retain their original DNA for the most part. North Africans were never black. North Africans were never black. Hannibal Barca wasn't black. Well, that's not what this coin says. You can talk all you want to about how North Africans were never black. The original North Africans were never what you would consider dark-skinned or tropical African people, but you got to call a spade a spade. Facts are facts. I mean, this is a coin. This is a coin of Hannibal Barca, and this is supposed to be pretty authentic. Excuse me, and this is supposed to be pretty authentic. You got other ones that came later on that made them look different, a little bit more European, but this one is pretty authentic. But no, according to some people, North Africans were never really dark skinned black tropical Africans people. The modern North Africans are indigenous. They've always looked like that. You a damn lie. And most of this is really just child's play. I don't even understand why I have to entertain something like this. But you got a lot of Pan Africans and Afrocentrics, and then you got the, I don't know what you want to call them, the pseudo killers or whatever, want to say that no, Africa was never really all black, or the people of North Africa and East Africa, they aren't mixed. They've always looked like that. No, there's no such thing as an unmixed race, especially when you go towards the border. You can just look up the ancestry percentage of people from, let's say, around the Horn of Africa. Look at this. The Tigray people of Ethiopia, 50% Semitic. Amareya people, 49.2% Eurasian ancestry. Somali people, we all knew they would have Arab, 38.4%. And this is not rocket science. If you look at all these people, different ethnic groups from the Horn of Africa, you can see in their facial structure and how they look that they're a mixture of the indigenous Nilotic populations there, or the whatever tribe considered tropical Africans, where they're mixed in with the people across the Red Sea over in the Arabian Peninsula. They look like a complete mixture, a 100% mixture. If you put this person together with this person, you would get exactly what people from the Horn of Africa looks like. And you even have the ancestry DNA percentage to prove it. I got a friend or a cousin of mine. Her mom is black. Her father is from somewhere, some Arabian country, and she looks exactly like somebody from the Horn of Africa. I mean, it's pretty simple, man. But if you don't believe me, let's hear it out of some of their own mouths.
horta Soomaalidu laba qaybsantaa baantuuda niloodka kasoo qaybsantaa ma garatay baantuuga waxay kasoo jeedaan bilaal in la dhaho ma garatay.
They said the Bantus originate from Bilal. That's a character in the Quran.
halkan anigu nebiga kasoo jeedno.
But they say that they originate from Prophet Muhammad, meaning they think that they originate from Arabs.
fiican isla haynaa marka Soomaalidu marka waxaa lagu sheegaa inay carab yihiin
ma kuwa koonfurta waa Afrikaan bantu wixii Puntland iyo adigu xagga laga siiyayna waxay gelayaa halkaas wala Cabdalla Saar
Soomaalidu waa
carab ama Soomaalida si la xasan yahay waa carab dhabta ay tahay Soomaalida.
Look at these people. Now, if you really look at one of these people and you seriously think that they aren't mixed with Arab, then you just lying to yourself. You're just lying to yourself. It's completely obvious. The DNA shows it. Excuse me, or the genetic similarities shows it. The facial features shows it, and they even say it.
qaar hadda soo galay oo ka soo gashay dhinaca Sikiye iyo kuwaas maaha inta kale waa Soomaali
qaba kaamirada
sax oo kuwan nimanka gadaal ka soo galay oo dhinaca Afrika inoo soo galay
xageeda ku soo
marka
Kenya iyo wax ka soo galay adigu
iyo Shabeellaha Hoose iyo meelaha
wala waa Arab iyo Afrikaan labadaba isku jiraan.
He says Somalis are a mixture of Africans and Arabs. Yes, we know that.
aniga carab baan carab ya tahay carabaan biyo marin baa waxaan asal carab daaro.
He says they are the purest form of Arabs. Right. So we all know these black hating people, they think that they're Arabs. So, but this was of no surprise. So you also have European, a lot of European settlers called the Pied Noor people, settled in North Africa a long time. A lot of them went back. So I don't know. North Africa just has so many invasions and colonizations from from the Vandals to the Italic people, from the Turks, the Phoenicians, the Phoenicians, the Italians, the French, you name it. So it's pretty stupid to think from all of these European invasions that they've had and Arab invasions that they had, it's pretty stupid to think that North Africans would be a pure race after that, as if they wouldn't be mixed. Then you got a lot of people, and this also explains why you have a lot of people in Algeria towards the northern part. A lot of them have like red hair and freckles and stuff like that. Well, a lot of that comes from a lot of their Iberian and French ancestry that they have. You know, a lot of the Celtic people are pretty synonymous with red hair, and they distribute that gene across Europe, and it trickled down to North Africa, so where you have the Hellenic people and the Greek people mixing with the Arabian people from the Levant, and which is why they are a lot of these people around here. They have that sort of pull, which is why they have dark hair, dark eyes, and the same thing for Spain, the same thing for Italy, which is why a lot of people in North Italy, they'll say people towards the south they used to call them black, not because they were literally black, but because they had a lot of mixed ancestry, which gave them that olive tone skin, which is a lot darker than people from the northern part of Italy. You got the Slavic people, the Balkans, Lithuanian people. All of these are heavily mixed people. Any group of people that live close around the Mediterranean, they're going to be about the most mixed people on the planet Earth because of the geographical location that they are in for trading and mixing. This is the end of this video. Y'all have a good day.